So 2 wires will get soldered here and here, and then you have your ground wire. One of those, so one's going to get soldered here. It's going to go through this hole, pop up here, and do it. And you'll see from the back of this, if you flip over the pick guard, you'll see there are some loose wires for that to happen. So you've got your pickups and you've got the one that goes to the ground. And it's been put on the pots as well. And the pots are what the turning the volume up or the tone down. This has all been wired for you, so you only have these 3 lines to do. One of them will come through this hole into here, okay? And the other 2 are going to end up getting hooked to these 2 spots right here, this space right here, and one here, one here. Okay, so the 3 wires that are on the back of your pick guard, I'm going to pull 2 of them are going to go to the pickup. So one is going to get filled through this hole. Okay. The other 2 you have underneath here. The other 2 are going through this hole that are right here and getting fed through there. And it will come out here. And then you're going to lay those down. So I'm going to pull those through. Okay. And on the back side, you'll see the other one that's coming out? I'm going to pull that one through too. Okay, so there are 11 screws I've waxed for the pick guard. What I did is I took one of the leftover bags that we have, and I took and put 6 for these for the backing plate in them so I don't lose them, and I put 2 for the pickup guard area so I don't lose those. That way they're off to the side. We're not going to lose those while we're doing it. And again, same thing, just put them in, finger tight, and then you'll slowly go around and make sure those are tightened down as you go. And the same as all the other stuff, you just take your screwdriver, get the right headed one, and start tightening down. And I'll show you that when it's done. Okay, now that your pick guard is screwed down, okay, I've got the 2 wires kicking out for our pick guard, and I've got the wire out back for soldering on the tremblay, and that's my next thing right now I'm going to do. Okay, a couple things when we're getting ready to solder. We got the wire out. What I recommend doing on this little unit here is getting a flathead screwdriver and pulling it out a little bit. You can do this before you screw it in too as well, so that it's out there, because what's going to happen is this wire is going to sit under it, and then what I do is I pinch it down so I have a mechanical fastener as well as the soldering either way. I also try to get it out of the way of the springs, so I don't want to embed it in the spring, so if the spring's pulling it's going to yank on it. But what I'll do is I'll set it up in, and then I'll get it down, and you can see the spring won't be part of it. And this is going to set it there. Now a couple things. One, you can see there's just such a little bit of thing, so I'm going to take a pair of wire strippers, and all I'm going to do is add a little more. And you can see all I did was I gained some so that I'm not having such a little bit of wire showing. That way when I can put it, that way I can get it under and wrapped, so that when I'm actually soldering, I'm not just trying to solder just the bare little. There's plenty of wire in this thing too. So I'm going to go on the other side. I'm going to hook it so it's back the other way. Good. So you can kind of see how I have it seated. And then I'm going to take my screwdriver and just push it mechanically down again. So that wedges it and it will hold it mechanically. Okay, so getting ready to solder. So I'm going to turn my solder on. Now I have a unit that turns off or on. It has a place to set. This is the hot end. I'm not going to touch it with my hand at all. I can keep it clean. You can also use flux to keep clean. I have solder. I like to use this because I can handle it. It's straight. I can put it out. They give you a tiny little piece of solder and you can use it. Just realize it's pretty small. And you're probably going to want to use a pair of needle nose to hold it for yourself to put it in. Okay. Now I'm wearing safety glasses so that I'm not, just in case. You can see this unit, this one lets me turn it off. I have this style. All this style is you plug it in, and when you plug it in, it's automatically hot. You'd want to have a place to set it so you're not setting it on places that would burn or melt. You can see this one now, the heat. So I have it, but it's off. And you can see it's turning on how hot you want it. About this, you don't, with these, they turn on, they're just automatically hot. That's what the temperature you'd have to use. Now, when you solder, what you're going to want to try to do, so I'm going to show you with this. This one's cool. It's not on at all. It's not even plugged in, but I'll show you. What a lot of times people make mistakes is they go and they melt the solder. They put the mirror and they melt the solder on it. But what you're actually going to do is you want to go and touch the metal. So I'm touching the actual metal. So I'm touching where I'm going. And you can see I don't have any solder or anything even here, but it's touching. Now again, if I touch wood, I'll burn that. If I touch the coating on the electricity, I'll melt that. But so I'm going to set that down in here, and I'm going to have it touching this little metal piece right here. So what it's doing is it's heating the metal piece up. Once the metal piece is heated up, then I'll bring the solder to it, and what I'll do is I'll touch the solder to it, and the solder will melt around. And what happens is then you can pull it away, and that will be fused. Okay. Now, a cold solder, if I can take a unit and just touch it and it comes off, it means it wasn't adhered. Okay. So I'll try to show this to you with a hot one. Okay, so I'm pulling. So I'm going to take my soldering tip and I'm going to touch the metal. And I'm going to heat this metal up so this metal is hot. Then I'm going to take in my solder, put in my solder, and you'll see it liquefy. And I'm going to let it drop in. Now I'm going to show it to you, so I'm going to try to do a cold solder, as you can see. A cold solder, what will happen is it's not really solder, it's not really holding down. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get in there, touch the thing, let it heat up, and put. When I go in, I'm going to give it a tug, make sure it's not coming off. Do a little more here. Okay, I'm going to go in, do a little tug, and now it's safe. It's not coming off. I can go take this unit now and I can go put it in a safe spot so I'm not, my hands, that goes cold to the touch. I'm not going to touch it or anything like that. I'm going to go down. Don't forget the metal itself will become hot too. Make sure it's good, and that's all ready to go. Do the same thing. I'm going to get a little more material, use my wire strippers to strip this up a little bit more, so there's a little bit more there. This is going to sit down in there. These are the two heads that I'm doing. You can see the little holes. So I'm going to make hooks and put them in and make a mechanical faster best I can, and then I'll solder this tip, and I'll solder so yellow and black, okay, and then I'll put them in. So first thing I'm going to do is take some wire strippers and gain me some more length. Okay, so I'm going to go and put some wire strippers, and then you'll see got more length on them. I'm not going to unspool them, I can hook them. Now I can figure out how to hook them in here. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to go and put it in the square. I'm going to have it hooked back so that it becomes mechanical, but I am going to solder this so that it won't come undone. Okay. Now, with your surfaces, if you're worried about your surfaces, you just want to take something that is non-flammable. You know, you're not worried about melting it. Okay. I'll hook this back through. Kind of come around it so that it's a mechanical too. And then the same as what we did last time, I'm going to take my soldering. I'm going to heat the location where I want it to be, and then I'll bring my solder in. And you can see the other thing too is sometimes I'll go on the other side and do it on both sides. I'm going to go and put my solder gun away. I'm just going to make sure, okay, is it all, see how it's not moving? And I'll do the same for the other wire, the black wire over here. I'm going to do that as well. I will point out, you're not hearing the fan. I'm dubbing this audio after the fact. So when you're doing this, you should run a fan to suck. So when you saw the smoke that you saw, you're not breathing the smoke in. Okay, so you're not breathing the solder in. Again, same thing, I'm going to do a mechanical. So you're not hearing the fan because I'm dubbing it over so you can hear my voice through all of this. But there's a fan running. So I'm going to make a little hook. Get through here. I'm going to, again, mechanically kind of make it there. And then I'll start the top one. I'm going to heat. And I'm going to flip it, do the other side. Okay, once you have them ding, you're going to go and check and make sure that mechanically they're good. I also like to try to have the solder be flat. You can see this one's a little bumpy. I'm going to go and shape that so it's flat, because when this comes in, I don't want it. These two don't want to be touching. It's only this head, so you wouldn't want, for some reason, your solder to touch anything. And there's your, so now you have that, you can flip it up, put it in, and feed it down. Now I'd recommend the wires, you want these two wires to get on the same side so that the head of the unit has a place to go, because you don't want them getting in your way. So what I'll do is I feed them down so that they're not sticking out